Hi, Laura.
Hi, Kathy. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
Gonna have 2 meetings tonight, huh?
Yeah, back to back.
Yeah. Oh.
Hi, Abby.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good.
The lights went in, huh, Abby?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
exciting.
Posted it on the city Facebook. They haven't done the ones along Village Green yet, but I don't know if you saw the news today, but
I
Village.
did. Yeah.
So I don't know if we should still even have them put the lights along Village Green.
I think it would be okay. I mean, it could serve as, if the weather got bad, it could serve as like a windbreak or something to have tables along there if need be.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Mari, I haven't seen your face in so long. Hi.
I know. How's it going?
Good.
Oh. Hey, Daphne.
Hi, Mari. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Oh. Are you guys enjoying the weather? Are you getting out and doing anything fun?
Last weekend was really nice. Saturday, I think, was like the nicest day of the year, in my opinion. Beautiful. This weekend is snow I saw somewhere.
There you go.
Oh, everyone's coming on.
Sorry, guys. I'm just talking to Julie. She's trying to come online right now. All right. Bye.
Hey, Julie.
So I was just chatting with Julie. She's trying to log in right now. She's having an issue with her Zoom account, but
Okay.
I don't see her quite yet.
I'll be right back. I just
Okay.
got off a conference call, so I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
Should we hold tight for Julie, or should we get started? I know the first part. I guess we can get to the update. I know we're a little tight on time for some others, so I just want to make sure we're cognizant of that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, she's got to be momentarily.
Okay.
So yeah, I started off if you're ready.
Okay, we can go ahead. Yeah. Otherwise, I was saying wait a minute or two if you think. We're not. It's only
Oh, here she
4:02.
comes.
We're gonna. It's not too bad, but whatever you think.
She's coming online right now.
Okay.
All right, sorry about that. Technology, it's great when it works.
Well, good. You're just in time for us to call the meeting to order.
All right, bye.
Ciao.
You have officially called the meeting to order, did you say?
I will go ahead and do that. I forgot. Yeah, you got to write everything down, so we can't start it without you.
All right.
Oh, someone could step in.
Wow, let's not get carried away.
All right, then. All right, so noted, the meeting is commenced.
Yep. First item up is the approval of the minutes from the August 18th meeting. We did not have a meeting last month, as a reminder.
I would move approval.
I'll second.
Anybody have any discussion with that at all? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right. Motion carries. We move right into hotel and staff updates. I really don't have much, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, not much has changed in the last couple of months. Still holding strong with really low occupancy. It's been steady, but low. We did pick up the visiting football team, so that's a positive for the rest of the year. But that is literally those are the remaining events, if you will, that we have through the rest of the year. So
There's some hockey teams that are, or tournaments that are not going to happen, but as far as I can tell, there's supposed to be one in a few weeks, and I just don't think that it's going to happen with the county. We have some rooms held for that, but I just don't see that happening.
Where was it scheduled to be played?
Gosh, are they at Cap? I think they are.
so
Yeah, Capital Ice.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just one of the returning events. Besides football, that's really the only thing left at the end of the year. I can't tell you we're really not seeing a spike at all from anybody coming into town for the games either. So
Mhm.
not going to be a whole lot going on with that either.
How many people are they allowing to sit at the game, or are they not?
they're
As far
not.
as I know, it's just
I didn't
friends.
think it was any, right?
Yeah, family is not even allowed.
Because I saw at some of the other college football games this weekend, they were allowing some seating, but they were in technically pods,
Yep.
which
Yeah.
they still look pretty darn close together.
So for this upcoming Illinois game, not even family is allowed to attend.
Okay.
Oh, so it's not family. I thought I read that it was friends and family. Maybe it was that friends and family of Wisconsin?
I talked with their director of ops last week, and he told me that they weren't for this
Wow.
game allowed. So I mean, that was just from Illinois' director of ops. I haven't talked with the athletic department here, but
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, if so, what are you talking? A couple hundred people? Not even.
right,
Yeah.
right. Hopefully that changes as the season goes on, but we'll see.
Okay. Julie, any updates on your end?
No, Corey, I think everybody should be aware of the fact that we've had a survey out there for our branding project. You were all looped into that. We're going to be holding our branding workshop next Tuesday, and everybody received an invitation for that. Thank you to those of you who can commit the time to us. We've had a good response. We're still soliciting a few more people and looking forward to going through this exercise with you all. Anything else that I have, I'll reserve for the items on the agenda.
Okay. Well, we can keep going then. So we don't have any grant applications, so we can move along. So I guess really our first item up then is the City of Middleton Comprehensive Plan 2020 Draft Overview.
So I'm going to share my screen here. Hi, everybody. I'm Abby Atune with the City Planning Department. We also have Daphne Shu, our Associate Planner, on the call here. And we just wanted to provide a brief update about the city's comprehensive plan. And we did try to focus some of the slides toward how we have embedded equity into the document, because Julie had conveyed to us that that was something that was really important to the Tourism Commission, and that you're working on, kind of repositioning tourism with an equity lens. So I've tried to call out some of that within the document. Just really quickly, this is our team that put the document together. This is the Department of Planning and Community Development. I mentioned Daphne is on the call. In our department, we also have Mark Opitz, who's our city planner and zoning administrator, and Kelly Hilliard, who's our sustainability coordinator. For starters, what is a comprehensive plan? A comprehensive plan is a local government's guide to community physical, social, and economic development. Comp plans are not land use regulations in themselves, but they do provide a rational basis for local land use decisions with a 20-year future vision. There is a state statute that spells out the requirements for a comprehensive plan, and it does not mandate how a community should grow, but it does require public participation. The uniqueness of individual comprehensive plans reflect community-specific and locally driven planning processes. Many comprehensive plans are completed by consulting firms, and so if you look around the state, they start to look pretty similar. Ours is fully our own document. We started from scratch. All the language is our own, and it's really intended to reflect the priorities of the city. Within the Smart Growth Planning Law, there are several required elements. So you can just go down the list and see issues and opportunities, housing, transportation, etc. In our comp plan, we have included all of those required elements, but we've kind of tweaked and reordered things and changed some names here and there. So for just as one example, the agricultural and natural resources components are within the Green City section of our plan. The enactment of a comp plan, again, is not a regulation. It's not a regulatory document, but there are consistency requirements. So the city's official mapping ordinance, subdivision ordinance, zoning ordinance, and shoreland or wetland zoning ordinances must be consistent with the comp plan. There are legalities around that. If the city makes decisions that are not in keeping with the comp plan, we could be subject to a lawsuit. So it's really important that you follow quickly on the adoption of the plan in getting these ordinances updated. We do have a budget item for next year to update the city's zoning ordinance to reflect the new priorities as outlined in the plan. We would like to keep this a fresh and living document. Best practice is that you do an annual review. We haven't been doing that in the past, but we want to make sure that we're keeping it living and that we're, reflecting changes in priorities for the city, and especially updating maps annually, because there are a lot that changes in those documents. We started this thing back in 2015. It was just going to be a minimal update to the plan, and then in 2019 we made it a complete overhaul. We've had half of our staff has turned over in that time as well, and so we've put a lot of work into it, but it's been over the course of a few years. We held a kickoff meeting. We had a public participation plan that was approved, 17 public input sessions, and 24 Plan Commission work sessions. In October, the Plan Commission referred the document, or actually in late September, the Plan Commission referred the document out to several committees and commissions to get your feedback. In November, our staff is planning on continuing to make edits and additions to the document, but we aren't planning to make major policy changes without getting the support of the full Plan Commission. So we have a Plan Commission meeting tonight at 7, and we're taking feedback from 7 committees and commissions to them, and we're recommending that they direct us to edit the document, but we will not edit the document at this point unless we get the support of the Plan Commission. Any major policy changes that are recommended will be considered prior to making changes. And then there are 2 sections remaining, and they are the introduction and implementation section, and we're working on drafting those right now. We will hold at least 1 public hearing that includes a Class 1 hearing notice published 30 days before the hearing is held that provides residents an opportunity to weigh in on the draft. And then Plan Commission and Common Council approval is also required. Just really briefly, I want to touch on some of the ways that the plan has addressed equity. We developed community values in concert with what we heard during public input sessions, and one of the prime community values that we have tried to reflect throughout the document is equity. This came up a lot for, this is very important to the city, and this came up quite a bit during the public input. There is a page within the document that kind of focuses in on some of the priorities of the Tourism Commission. I actually can't see the page number. I don't know if you guys can. It looks like it might be 73. It's under a bar on my screen here. But we worked with Julie a bit to get some of this information, and if there's anything in here that you see that you don't think reflects, tourism's goals, then we would happily take your feedback on that and make changes. As far as equity goes, there are 3 sections within the plan, and one is housing, one is economic development, and one is transportation. Within those 3 sections, There are a lot of goals around equity because we want to make sure that people who, are residents of our community, everyone in our community has access to housing, jobs, and transportation that fit their needs. We also would like to work on closing some of the gaps that we are seeing in our community in terms of homeownership, household income, and educational attainment. So there is data within the plan that shows that the gaps for communities of color within the city in those three categories are pretty great. And in fact, we are doing worse than the national average by quite a bit, especially in terms of home ownership. So some of what we're working on, one action within the Green City section of the plan is that we would use, we would use racial equity and social justice assessment tools when we're evaluating different policy decisions that the City Council is considering. We have had some training in this through an alliance that we're a part of. It's called the Legacy Communities Alliance for Health. And so we want to start piloting this evaluation tool and make sure that we're not negatively impacting communities of color with different decisions that are being made unintentionally. There's also an action step within the Green City section that encourages Middleton hotels to participate in the Travel Green Wisconsin certification. I know from working with the previous tourism director that was important at the time to the commission, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure if that's still reflective of your current goals. So that's one thing I would like to get a little bit of feedback on from the commission. We also have actions that we would like to establish a diversity, equity, and inclusion team for the city. Many local companies have these kinds of groups, and the city hasn't formally established one. I think that would go a long way toward institutionalizing equity within our practices. We also would like to demonstrate and report that appointments to advisory boards reflect the city's gender, racial, and ethnic diversity of the city. And I know our current mayor is really supportive of this as well. For tonight, what we would like to hear from you is just any feedback that you have, and preferably, if you wrap your feedback that you provide to us into a formal recommendation or a consensus of the commission, then we would take those comments to the Plan Commission for incorporation into the document. That's it.
What's your time? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, go ahead. I didn't know if anyone had any comments or questions or anything like that.
Abby, what's your timeline again on feedback?
Well, when the Plan Commission referred this out on September 22nd, the plan was that we were still going to try to get the thing fully wrapped up by the end of this year. But because of that Class 1 public hearing notice requirement, we aren't sure if we're going to meet that timeline. The reason being, before we publish the notice, we want all the edits to be included in there so that the document that we're putting out to the public is the document that we intend to adopt. So, if it doesn't happen by the end of this year, which is our initial goal, hopefully early next year, like by the end of January or February.
So in terms of gathering feedback from the Tourism Commission, would we have, say, till the middle of November when we met again to go through some of our points and then communicate those out to you at that time? I'm just not sure if everybody's prepared to discuss what's in the plan tonight. And I could be wrong, but the reason I'm saying that is because the link that I set out to the meeting packet, I think had some sort of a glitch in it. So I'm not even sure if a lot of these folks had an opportunity to look at the plan. Did anybody else experience problems opening my attachment in the email? Okay, well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, we were hoping to get your feedback tonight, but I also understand, like, when you put a 140-page document in front of a commission, that it requires a little bit of time to review.
I can speak on behalf of staff, if you'd like. and what my understanding is of what the group is looking for, I think when a lot of the unrest started to surface in the month of June, we approached this subject and have been trying to work with what we know about the city's diversity and equity values and goals to create a position statement for tourism. And I think by reading through just the portions of this that I read through, Abby, based on your recommendations of what to focus on, there's a good starting point here for us. I would say next steps for staff would be to pull out some of these sections as they related to tourism and start drilling down on how we can execute on some of the strategies and the tactics that are outlined here.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess one thing I didn't say in the presentation is the comp plan is a really broad, high-level plan. It's not intended to figure out all the solutions to everything. It's supposed to be more of a roadmap for the future. So it's okay for it to say, we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this, even though we don't know all the details about how all those things are going to happen just yet. And like I said, with the annual review, I think that will really help to make sure like we're going around to the committees and we're getting additional feedback and we're making sure that the goals are still, you know, relevant for you all.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we had talked about as a group in August was whatever we did, we wanted to make sure that it was actionable and that they were smart. We would be able to achieve them as well. So again, I think reading through this, there are several things that we can focus on. The Think Green initiative is a great one to bring up. I'm not sure that the Department of Tourism that program is still active.
Oh.
With them. I know they were at a point a couple of years ago where they were going to reevaluate that, and there hasn't been any information forthcoming from that office. So that's certainly one thing that we can do some investigating on.
Okay.
And if that isn't a program that is going forward, let's look and see what else is out there in the industry that we might be able to leverage.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
From a sustainability. Sorry?
I was just going to say from the hotel side of things, with the green initiative, I'm trying to remember because I remember going through it, but like each brand is different on what we can do. So Marriott has like things rolled out for Marriott and Hilton, but then at the hotels, I know they're doing different things. But I mean, if it's helpful, I can try to see what's going on, you know, currently with COVID. I don't know how much is going on, but you know, though it's not, you know, we started some of those things and they didn't stop because of that. I just have to check and see what we're currently doing. If that's helpful, I can.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything to add? Questions, comments?
This is Kathy. I think that with tourism, one of the areas that we should weigh in on specifically is the transportation. We had questions about trolley, whether we want to keep that going. We also, we were approached with the B-cycle before, and some of the different options that we may, right now, we're getting less and less service from Metro. One thing that I'm kind of getting on board with is it's called a micro transit, where you have an app and you say, okay, I need a ride now, and then the system comes and gets you and would connect with another system or get you around Middleton. And I think that that's something that tourism could get behind. If, for people at the hotel who needs to get to somewhere within Middleton, it would open their range up a little bit, and it would be on call. So it wouldn't be, we'd be making this continual loop. And what I like about that more than I like B-cycle is that it's a year-round option for people.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything else to add, or? Or do we want to circle back with this then, Julie, or? What should be our plan?
I think next steps from staff's perspective would be to start crafting a positioning statement, because I think that was the driver of our conversation starting in June. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody. But I would submit that we prepare something for consideration at the November meeting, and then continue to do a drill down on some of these other areas that Abby has indicated here. And if they need more input from the commission, we can come back to you in November and just kind of highlight the areas that we think we would want to focus on. The thing I like about this is to me, it's a strategic plan. As Abby said, it's a roadmap, and there are strategies with goals in here that we can wrap around as a department. And you know, they won't necessarily be accomplished in 2021, but we can start building out on the strategic plan that we created back in 2018, which needs to be reviewed anyway. So I think this is going to serve a twofold purpose for us. And I just want to compliment Abby and Daphne and the whole planning staff on the work they've done here. It's a mind-boggling document when you think of how much information is included in here. And I would highly encourage you to read through it if time permits, because it really does give you a very good snapshot of where the city is hoping to go in the coming years.
Right.
So kudos, Abby and Daphne.
Thanks. All right, well, Daphne and I are gonna bow out because we are going to the library board next, and then we're going to the plan commission tonight. We're triple booked tonight. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Abby.
Thanks,
Have a good one.
everyone.
All right, so we are moving on to the Middleton Area Historical Society Depot Lease Agreement update.
Yeah, okay, this is probably gonna be me for the rest of the way here, huh? So I'll just roll. We have been working with Jeff Martin, who's the president of the Middleton Area Historical Society, for the last couple of months, talking about how we could reimagine what the society is doing in terms of exhibits at the depot, and sharing with him the vision for how we would like to utilize the space that the museum currently occupies. He was very receptive to making these changes, and was very agreeable to what we were suggesting as far as a focus for the museum, which is getting more railroad memorabilia in the displays that they're going to have. Those were comments that we continued to hear from visitors that came. A lot of those folks are railroad buffs, and that's what they were hoping to see. So they'll have that on one side, and then on the other side there will be a display with Middleton historical memorabilia. We'll have photos, taking some of the photos that are in the back and interspersing them around the front. So I think overall, this has really been a both win for tourism and for the Historical Society. The Common Council approved the amendment to the lease at their October 6th meeting, as did the Historical Society. And Jeff is planning on heading to City Hall tomorrow to sign off on that. And then we will start making the move to the front of the building. For all intents and purposes, they have everything out of the rear of the building at this point. So now it's just a matter of getting them set up in the front. And then moving on to the building maintenance projects. So this is going to enable us to move forward with some of the things that we've been hoping to do for the last couple of years. Laura's done a really great job of soliciting estimates from contractors around Middleton and the greater Madison area. And we found a gentleman who does restoration work and was quite excited at the prospect of being able to do this job, because he can preserve the existing flooring, which was something that the rest of the folks that we talked to were very reluctant to do. Most people want to just come in and rip it up, put down a subfloor, and put a new floor over the top. So we're actually saving a little bit of money by doing this. We're hoping that we can get this work started within the next couple of weeks and completed by November. In conjunction with that, we'll be doing a window replacement, which is something we've been trying to get accomplished for 4 years. We found a gentleman who's able to do the carpentry work as well as the install for us. So moving forward with that, probably going to take a couple of months for the windows to be ordered. So this project probably isn't going to commence until December, early January. If weather becomes an issue, then that'll get pushed back a little bit further into 2021. The good news for us was that there were no contracts with either one of these vendors, so we did not incur any expenses for a legal review. And because the funds are budgeted and have been approved already by Finance and the Common Council, we do not have to present this work to them for approval. So we can just get rolling, which is great. Any questions on either one of those?
I just want to say that's really good news that they can preserve the flooring. I just
Isn't
think
it?
that's fabulous. That's great.
We were pretty
Good work.
stoked about that.
Good work.
Yeah, we were pretty stoked about that.
What are they going to do to the, I'm sorry, Corey, what are they going to do to the front? Are they going to keep those windows and somehow rework that so we don't lose that portion of the building? Meaning the inside, you know, where the ticket windows are? I'd call them
the
ticket
windows in
Yeah.
windows in the front were done.
No, I'm talking about the desks. So when you walk in, where,
Oh, the office configuration?
yeah, the office configuration.
Yeah. Laura, do you want to jump in on that one? Since you'll be out there?
Yeah, well, I guess we haven't fully explored, how we're gonna use the back space of the building, but the front lobby, there's gonna be 2 display cases that the Historical Society will be moving up. We're gonna rework some of our brochure racks and kind of take inventory of what really needs to be out there. But as far as that ticket window, I mean, that'll remain the same. It's just potentially right now, Mari and I, we both have our desks up there. Eventually, we'll likely just have one person up there, and that's something that'll happen, further down the road. We'll have to look into, like a total a remodel back there in order to accommodate a few more offices. So.
We tried to figure out a way to move Laura out from behind that counter so that people could actually go back in there and that would become a display area for brochures. It's just too difficult to rewire the other part of the building, like that corner when you enter and you turn to your left. That little corner there was where we were thinking, but it's too much of a hassle. So probably Mari will move out. Mari and I will probably have offices in the back. And we're thinking about taking the office that I'm currently in, turning that into a break room and reversing the plumbing so that there's a sink in there. I mean, right now we're washing dishes next to where the cleaners are dumping out their dirty water from mopping and drying our dishes on top of the water softener salt reservoir about 4 feet from where the mold was found. So it's my desire to try to have a real break room for people that's a little bit safer and probably a little bit healthier. And then I think that space could also be used as some storage. So we'd have storage out in the front next to Laura, which means she's not going to have to go back into the back part of the building every time she needs something. We'll have a better break room with a little more storage in there, add 2 offices in the back, and then see what we have left. We're either going to have a storage space back there if we feel like we need more. I mean, one of the things I'm trying to get rid of are these 2 storage units that we rent over on, I can't remember what the name of it. Thank you, off of Pleasant View Road. And that's $2,000 a year that we'd be able to save if we can figure out a way to move things out of there. And then if we have any space left after that, we'd like to have a small meeting room in there that we could use for client meetings and offer it up to nonprofits for small meetings. So that's the grand plan. Next steps for us will be to find someone that can help us do some interior design work as far as layouts are concerned. I know that there are students at the UW-Madison that do this kind of work, so I'm gonna approach them first. Also approach Madison College, see if they have any folks in the ecology department there that might wanna do this. And if there are a couple of Middleton companies that we can try that might be interested in doing it pro bono, because it's a small job, or if it's a minimal fee in order to hire somebody, I would advocate that we take a look at that as well. So we'll be coming back in November with what we've been able to find as far as moving on to the next step there.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, thank you. In the meantime, Mari had a sign made that she had designed, which is out on the front lawn and just notifies people that we're closed for renovations and refers them over to the Mustard Museum, who has been great about being the annex, if you will, to the depot and the visitor center. Anything else on either one of those? Okay, moving on to the 2021 draft budget. Laura, is that document that I sent worth taking a look at?
I'm afraid not.
Okay.
It's pretty blurry.
Okay. Well, I will talk people through this and then I'll make an attempt to send it to you afterwards. I had my meeting with the mayor and Mike Davis and the finance committee on August 23rd to review the draft budget that the commission had approved. It was kind of a grim meeting. You know, generally when we're talking about tourism, there's not a lot of positive things to say at the moment. And most of the conversation really dwelled on what are you going to do to either increase revenues or further reduce your expenses. I mean, as far as increasing revenues, we don't have a lot of avenues for that. As a city agency, we can't really charge memberships to people. It's difficult to ask people to place ads in our visitor guide, and I'm not sure that anybody has the funds to do that right now anyway. There are initiatives out there that we can explore that would be assessments either on businesses or our lodging properties, and we would get revenues from those to be able to use for our operational purposes. I think at this stage in the game, it probably makes more sense to look at what we can do in terms of additional reductions if we need to. So we talked about the trolley agreement as a possibility. That's $154,000 next year. It goes up about 2% annually, and that contract runs through 2022. We do hold in the fund balance reserves for that contract. So in other words, if we're saying we have $2 million in the fund balance, the finance committee actually considers the expenses for the trolley over the next 3 years to be part of those reserves, which kind of gets set off to the side. I did encourage them to have discussions now if that's something that is going to be taken under consideration, because there is a clause in that contract that indicates the agreement is subject to budget approval. The other two areas are the Pilch and Barnett contract. We do have a clause in there that gives us an opportunity to start looking at other options in the first 6 months of next year, at whatever we do, we would have to give them a 120-day notice if we're going to cancel that contract. So Murray and I have been kind of kicking around ideas about, if that becomes a directive, what can we take in-house and where would we need to supplement our resources? And then the other consideration would be the Convention and Visitors Bureau contract, Destination Madison. I know that they have taken a pause with the city and done some negotiating with them for their revenue for 2021. That contract is up at the end of 2021. So if we're going to do that, now would be a good time to also take that under advisement. I basically gave the same presentation to the Finance Committee. Of course, the Finance Committee was really concerned about how this is going to impact the 30% of the room tax collections that are distributed to the general fund. So I think, and Kathy, you probably agree with this, most of the conversation once we got to that part of the discussion was around the general fund and what kinds of things were they going to have to take under advisement, knowing that we were not going to have the room tax collections that we've enjoyed the last 5 years, really. Our trajectory has gone up and it's going down quite rapidly at this point. I did caution them that, industry analysts are telling us it's going to be 3 to 4 years before we get back to a point where we're going to see the kind of revenues that were being generated in 2019, and that what's going on right now is having a very detrimental impact on the average daily rates, which means we're going to collect less room tax because the rates are going down. And I'm sure our friends from the hotel industry will agree that we're just not in a good situation right now. And I know that Destination Madison has gone public health kind of relief on the mass gatherings for indoor and outdoor, and the public health is standing pretty firm on the orders that exist right now, and I think it will be that way until something changes with the university and the number of cases that are coming out of the university as it pertains to Dane County. And then you see the uptick that's going on around the rest of the state, and one wonders, if that's going to result in a safer at home or even more restrictions coming out of the governor's office. So I just don't see anything changing for us until the second quarter at the earliest, which makes me feel like the budget that we've submitted is pretty optimistic and probably is going to have to be adjusted before the year is over. I mean, we started with 60% as our first quarter estimate and went up to 70% for 2, 3, and 4, and there's just no way that we're going to recognize that. So in view of that, Bill's recommendation was that we stay the course for now. The next steps with this budget will be a public hearing, which takes place on October 20th. And then I believe, Kathy, there's another hearing following that before there's an actual vote.
I think
by
they
the
set
council.
the public hearing on the 20th. I think they set it. They don't actually
And then
have
the public hearing follows that
right.
in November. Okay. So it'll be another month and continued discussions. And I mean, I fully expect the Finance Committee to come back to me and ask me some deeper dive questions on what are we really forecasting for the first 2 quarters of next year. But in the meantime, there were a couple of adjustments to the budget that was approved by you all in August, which is what I was hoping we could show you today. But they're minor changes in the salary line, we realized that I had subtracted the amount of money that was actually an increase. So there's a $3,025 increase in the salaries. Health insurance actually went down a little bit. So there was a deduction of $828 in that line. We discovered that we had duplicate expenses for insurance. Insurance appears under operating expenses, but it also appeared again under the Mobile Visitor Center as operating expenses. So that was a $2,200 deduction. And at the end of the day, we actually came out $3 less than what we had submitted for a budget. There were a couple of disconnects between my office and the finance department's office, and they actually got the wrong budget posted in the city budget book that's out on the website right now. It did not reflect the changes that you had approved for the tourism, was it tourism, destination partnerships, and trade show grants, I believe were the 3 lines that we just basically reallocated the funds. So Bill will be making sure that that appears before you at the next meeting. Kathy, just a heads up for you. And he also added a brand refresh line that didn't appear on the budget that's in the book, so that has been changed as well. So I think we're all set now. Bill and I were aligned as of yesterday, and you know, just ready to move forward and see where the conversation goes on October 20th. Somewhat in conjunction with this, the state has a grant program out there right now. I don't think I have that with me, but there were several categories that were recently added to this grant program. One of them is funding for lodging. One of them is funding for venues, attractions, cultural events. And I think what happened is when they started getting responses to the travel stimulus grant program, which was originally set up for destination marketing organizations who were not able to benefit from any of the CARES Act packages that were coming out of the federal government, they realized what dire straits destination marketing organizations are in, as well as the other members of the tourism sector. So they've increased the bucket, if you will, from $8 million to $12 million for those grants. The grants were due on September 29th. I did submit a grant for Middleton tourism. $500,000 was the maximum that you could request, and I went for the maximum. I'm hoping that we will get at least 25% of what the 3-year average of our budget was, which would come out to be about $351,000. But at this point, I think anything that we get will help offset the shortfall that we're experiencing for 2020. The other stipulation with this grant is that it does need to be used in the calendar year, which I don't think will be an issue for us because I ran a report the other day, and of course we're already over budget. So yeah, so last report that I heard from Destination Wisconsin, who's kind of our conduit to the Department of Tourism, was on October 6th. And at that point, they were hoping to have decisions within 7 to 10 days. So I think we will know something next week as far as whether we're going to get an award or not. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yes, yeah.
I really think they're trying to help everybody that applied. I mean, the governor understands that this is now impacting the state budget as well.
Yeah.
On that happy note, I do have a happy note. I got.
Oh, stop! We can't take any more happy. No.
All right.
I got an email from Jamie Patrick telling me that The Golden Age Games, which had been scheduled for June of 2020, are coming back to us. And Jim, you might know more about this, and Corey, as far as the new dates. I do not.
Same dates, right, Jim?
I think it's late. I think it's still late June, right?
I can tell you right now.
End of June. Yeah, we had that. I mean, and if it even comes back as half of what it was this year, that was awesome pickup. That was a really great group.
Yeah, their block was sold out with us within probably a week of when it opened. They've got 1,600 room nights over here for next year. The dates are the 20th through the 27th. So they're here for a week.
Yeah, that was just, I think that made everybody's day that got this email. To just give you a sense of what it means for Middleton, the Courtyard has 410 rooms reserved. Fairfield has 410. Hilton Garden Inn for room nights. Jim's already given you that one. Another 410 over at the Residence. 300 at the Staybridge. So everybody.
Yeah.
Will.
They're gonna be in Greenway Station all week too.
Yeah.
I always like to remind everyone because they that was secured from going to teams. So obviously Jim knows about that, but we I know that's where Brandon and Jamie fostered that relationship, which we've supplied grants for.
Yeah, we do supply a grant for that. So that's a great return on our investment.
Yep.
For that one.
Anything else? I think we're good there. And then just any items for the next agenda?
Can I ask, I got a question for Julie.
Yeah.
When you say Bill Burns said stay the course, and I don't know, the Pilch and Barnett contract where you said it needs 120-day notice, are we just going to leave this settle for now and see how that goes?
Kathy, I think Bill's feeling was the finance committee was just asking me if we had a plan, if we had a plan B. And I did say we do have a plan B. Here's what it is. Some of these need to be acted on within the year, I think, if we're going to take any action on them.
So as a member of the finance team, is this something I should be bringing up to you again, do you think? Or how do you?
Yeah, that's a good question. And maybe we should.
Can think about
I
it.
was going to say, maybe we should talk about it offline. I'd like to have one more conversation with Bill.
Okay. I just didn't know
before
where.
October 20th. I think both of us wanted to wait and see what the room tax collections were like for the third quarter.
Okay.
Which I can't imagine are going to be a whole lot better than the second quarter.
Yeah. Well, knowing you need a lot of lead time for it, I just want to make sure that I was doing my part to make
Pilch
sure
and Barnett, we have a little more play, and I think Destination Madison, we have a little more play. To be fair to Badger Bus Lines, if we're going to do something with the trolley contract, that would be the one I would ask that we take under advisement for 2020.
Okay.
So he can move forward. And John, by the way, has been terrific. Since my last conversation with him in August, I think that was, late July, early August, I haven't heard from him. So I think he gets it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he lives up the hill and he's down in Middleton on a regular basis. He sees what's going on. And honestly, until we start getting visitors in the hotels, it just doesn't make any sense to put that trolley back on the road unless unless it gets used for something else. And then if it becomes public transportation, that's a different conversation for us. Because that was not the intention when tourism undertook the initiative.
Right.
So let's stay in touch on that, Kathy.
Anything else? Anybody have anything for for November?
I'd like some cheerier news.
Pardon me?
I'd like some happier news.
Yeah, right.
Between this and I have a budget and finance committee meeting at 7, and that's going to be a horrible meeting as well.
It's hard to stay positive right now. Regarding DEI, the Destinations International is holding a webinar next week on, I believe, initiatives and best practices for other DMOs around the country. So I'm going to put that on here as a item for next meeting. I'll do a debrief on that.
I was gonna say too, I will probably put in my grant request for next year, Julie, based on what we have discussed next month, if that's okay.
Okay.
Because that way we'll know for 21, it'll be approved in December if we approve it next month.
Do you want to do you want me to put it on as a item for next meeting?
Oh, either way, doesn't matter. I mean, yeah, I will submit it. So I don't know if you guys were planning on anything at this point. I know that our stuff is all pushed back until later on in the year. So I just, more or less for me, it was just a housekeeping item just to be done with it. So
Sure. I would be interested, since we've got a couple of minutes here, and just hearing how things are going with Hubbard Avenue, Jose, and Capitol. Kevin?
It's going to be a long winter. You know,
Yeah.
we don't have food, so we can't open at all inside this winter. So the tasting room can't be open. We can't have events. We can't do anything. So we'll keep the beer garden open as long as possible and when we can, but it's going to be a long winter.
How are things at the diner, Jose?
We were doing fine. We just, unfortunately, yesterday we find out one of our employees tested positive, and so it took our 9 crew pretty much completely off of the equation for the quarantine period. So we're closed for dinners most likely until the 22nd or 23rd of this month.
Okay.
So that's gonna hurt us quite a bit, but there's not much that we can do about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, we're getting ready for our busiest month, which is Thanksgiving time, and hopefully we can recover at least some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing a lot of takeouts?
Are they making any other changes on I've just seen some of the other food fight restaurants are making some changes. Obviously that's not in store for you guys at this point going into next month.
Not at this point. Yeah, a few of the restaurants downtown, they didn't do so well during the summer, and going into the winter, they knew that things were not gonna pan out well. So they decided to close them for 6 months and see if they will reopen. As I say, Hubbard was doing well, so that was not in the plans for us, and I highly doubt it. We are very lucky that we do have a strong community support in here. So, and to answer the other question, yes, we are doing quite a bit of takeout. What we're doing, because most of the takeout was at dinner time. We won't be doing that for a couple of months. But with that being said, I think consider where we are, I think we're doing well. So we'll see. Every week we have quite a few meetings to see how we can increase revenue or sales. And so I'm working with the city and the library to see how are we going to tackle our amount of orders that we get for Thanksgiving. Since we can't have people waiting inside the restaurant. So I think we're going to do pickups like driveway pickups around the parking lot, in the back of the building and the library parking lot. At least that's the plan so far. So the library has been kind enough to let us use their stalls, at least most of them, for those 3 days before Thanksgiving. So we'll be fine, but things are not easy.
Should we get our pie order in now?
You should. It's never too early. It sounds kind of funny, but I think that our pie orders might increase this year because
Oh, yeah.
large gatherings are not happening. So it used to be like, 1 or 2 pie orders because a big family was going to get together. It's going to be a few separate orders for separate, gatherings.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to stay optimistic that way and see how is it going to happen. But
Sure.
Jose, does the diner do turkey dinners too? Takeout?
we do.
Okay.
Yeah, we do all year round, actually.
So we could do a Thanksgiving dinner and pie and
Yeah.
everything together? Okay.
And we'll get a couple of 6-packs from Capitol and we got a party.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
Hey, Kathy, did the lights get up
Today,
over in
I
the
think-
Stonehurst? Good,
I think it was today.
good. We read earlier today that Village Green was going to shutter for a while. So I
Oh,
think
really?
there was some question about whether we'd still be able to draw power from them. So that's
Or
great.
how long are they going to close down for?
Did they say, Barry, in that
Heard that.
notice? Or do you guys know?
They just said for the foreseeable future. Right now, they're
Oh.
closing down because they're concerned about the health of their customers and their employees because of the number of cases. So it didn't give a start back date. They could reopen in 3 weeks, or it could be Christmas. I think they're trying to decide what's best for their employees and their business right now. From the way I read it, I was looking at a bunch of things online.
We were in there last week, and it was a financial decision. He's being nice
Right.
on Facebook. I would imagine they'll be closed all winter.
I know he was really taking advantage of having that outdoor space.
Mm-hmm.
So
He said it still wasn't cutting it. He was losing money every day.
yeah.
Really? Wow.
Mm.
That's Village Green and Vincenzo that are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any others
Well,
down?
and you know what? Again, in the midst of all this, we've got a new place opening up where Hellbox was.
Grace Coffee. They're opening up in a few weeks.
In November.
Yeah.
That was I was surprised.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to do anything really. I wouldn't think. I can't imagine there's much of a build up, but maybe so.
I think there might
I
be a
don't think
slight build up because they're taking over they're not going to take over the entire Hellbox. It'll be slightly smaller. So they're
That's
going to
going to be half of the space.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It was an awfully big space for a coffee shop originally.
It was.
for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder what'll go next. Maybe a restaurant and the other half of it or something. I wonder how they'll do that. It'll be interesting to see.
Well, if the rent wasn't so high, tourism might have considered it.
Yeah, but you have the.
Seriously, it would have been a great location for us.
You can't beat your rent right now, though.
No, our rent's really damn good right now. I'm not complaining. Mike reminds me that every day.
Oh, you gotta have a pretty compelling case.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so for next month, I have a follow-up on DEI. I've got North Central Group grant request. And anything that we're doing with the comp plan, I'm just going to roll into this DEI item. That's okay with you? Okay. Was there anything else that I missed?
I would just say if we have whatever we think we might have, because sometimes we cancel one of these next 2 meetings. So on the off chance that we don't have a December meeting, maybe we would want to stock up on any housekeeping items that we have for next month, just in case.
I'll put 2021 budget on here. I'll put both budgets on here just in case I end up making another adjustment on 2020.
I don't know that we'll have a whole lot to talk about in December. So I guess we'll just have to play that one by ear.
Yeah.
Okay. If that's it, we can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I would
was
like
gonna
to
say,
move to adjourn the meeting.
Anyone want to second that?
I'll second.
Sorry, a little
All right.
distracted from my next meeting.
That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
Yeah. Our meetings start at 7 o'clock at night, so ours go a little longer.
Was there a second there?
Yes, I'll second.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Well, it was a good meeting. Thanks for everybody for being involved. And I don't know. I'm optimistic that we'll have an ounce of good news for the next
Hey,
meeting.
this thing's gonna turn around, and Jose, I hope your employee is gonna be okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Appreciate
I
it.
think we're going to hear on Julie's grant application and we'll just be beside
Oh, I'll
ourselves.
tell you what, if I get anything, you're gonna hear from it immediately. You will probably hear me yelling from the depot.
Well, no, you got to save it for the meeting.
Shouts of joy. I'll even sing for you if we get the grant. How's that?
Oh, that's awesome.
We're gonna make you sing on Zoom because then it's gonna be recorded.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a threat or not. Yeah. Well, you ponder that.
All right,
Okay.
well, good luck, Kevin, to you and your staff and everything as well this fall.
Yeah.
And Jim and Corey, with all your hotels and rooms.
We all
I
need-
drive by your hotels and I just see empty parking lots and it breaks my heart, so.
Well, we were just looking at some comp set rates today, and like we've seen Expedia rates of hotels in Middleton in the 40s.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Well, we do have a small group coming in November of whopping 6 rooms, but the hotel we were at downtown dropped their rates quite a bit, so.
Yeah, I mean, downtown hotels are under $100 in some cases.
Yeah, I should have gone a little lower with her, but I also feel bad. So it's like, we can afford that
Yeah.
barely, but we can at least do that.
Cool. All right. Well, everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next month.
Stay well, everybody.
Well,
Take
wear
care.
your masks. Bye.
Yeah, wear your masks.